Hello, Jan. Nice to see you again. Long time no speak. Today we're going to have some other topics where we want to talk about some myths. One is bubbles around your hands, how to reduce them, or what is the thing behind it. The next one will be fingers open or closed. Could be a separate topic, but that will be one. And the last one is splashing when entering the water. I guess the last one and the first one they relate to each other. I don't know. Have you heard these three before? I guess, but tell me.
Yes, first of all, thanks for having me. Glad to be back. And yes, obviously you hear a lot of these things, and it's nice on the one hand because you know that people develop quite a passion for their hobby and for swimming, and they obviously start to think, how can I get better and what can I do to improve my swimming? And they go down into various rabbit holes, so to say, to what else I can do. I think those are all very, very good things, because if you develop a passion, you lay the foundation to improvement. If you ask somebody like me or yourself, I think you would probably say that these things play a role, but probably not a major role necessarily.
True.
I always think that the foundations should be the key focus or the main focus for quite a long time, and then eventually you can start into looking into these things. But what was the first one? Bubbles.
The bubbles around the hands. I start with something there. The bubbles around the hands, which I saw the transformation. But I think also these three things, especially the bubbles around your hands, comes with time, also with improvement of technique. And when I look at videos when I was young, when I was like, let's say 12 years old, 10, 12 years old, I had a lot of bubbles around my hands. And when I look at my style now, I don't have any bubbles around my hands. Then also there's another thing which plays into that role is if you're sprinting or you do long distance, that's also playing a role there. And what kind of hand entry you have, that would be again the other one. Splashing when entering the hand, that would be the other one which goes hand in hand. But I guess the bubbles around your fingers, that was the first question which I get, or how to reduce it actually.
Yeah, I think you basically the cause you summed it up pretty well in 60 seconds. If you have a fast turnover, it's very, very, very hard to enter clean so that you don't have bubbles. Bubbles get created when you enter with your hand in a fast way and not 100% clean, so to say. You can almost think about it like when you do a dive, when you do a clean dive from the block, you enter like this and everything goes through one small hole and you don't create a splash.
Yeah.
It's the same with your hand. If you enter really clean and everything follows your first fingers, there are not going to be a lot of bubbles. But the faster the turnover, the harder this becomes. And I think then you have to ask yourself the question, how much are those bubbles really slowing me down versus how much do I need to slow everything down in order to achieve a really clean entry?
Exactly, there for me, that's why I said myths. There for me starts the myth. Because when you hear now, I go through, kind of scroll through my comments, and there are people saying, oh yeah, I see you have no bubbles, you must be so fast, and that's why you're faster. And then obviously, coming to what I said before, well, a sprinter can be faster than me, but he might have. Look at Florent Manadou. He has a lot of bubbles around his hands, especially at the beginning. Obviously, you lose them over time, but the physics behind it can be relating to that you have air around your hands, and then you push air in the water. But again, how much will that impact your style, and how much is that important? Especially when we look at the thesis that we or the premises underneath which we do these talks when we want to go and do Ironmans. How much is it a problem in the end? I don't see it. I wouldn't concentrate on that, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. And I just think it's something that is so very, very hard to correct. I mean, it's not hard to correct. Don't get me wrong. It's easy to correct, but it's hard to correct it while still swimming fast. If I just reduce my stroke rate by 50%, pretty easy to not have bubbles on my hand. But it doesn't do me any good because I'm going to be significantly slower if I reduce my stroke rate by that much.
True.
But to do it with your normal technique takes quite a lot of mental energy, and it's very hard to fast swimming is up tempo.
True.
People have to understand this. It's not fast swimming is not comfortable swimming.
True as well.
It doesn't really matter how you feel. That's the one thing that Greg Troy used to tell me all the time when I said I don't feel good. He said it doesn't matter what you feel like. It matters that you're fast. You're racing. It's a race. It's whoever gets to the wall fast.
Yeah.
In his language, he said nobody gives a how you feel.
True.
Who cares?
True.
It's whoever touches this wall first, and it's all about time and winning. It doesn't matter what you feel like. I mean, it's nice if you feel good, and you should strive for feeling good, but naturally you're going to feel better around some sort of a sweet spot pace. Let's say for you it might be 110. Everything might be clicking. You feel the water everywhere. It feels flowy. It's easy and not. It's just hard enough so that you have pressure on your hand, but it's not fast enough so you still have everything under control. But then once I say, Marcus, now we go 158, the feeling goes out of the water because you have to ramp up your stroke rate significantly.
True.
You have to add a kick, and then it's not really that much about feeling anymore. It's about executing your technique fast so that you get the speed.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big misconception. I think people are always looking for a perfect feeling when at the end of the day, it's the time that matters. You know, I mean, I'm not saying you should swim sloppy by no means, but you have to understand that fast swimming is up-tempo swimming, and up-tempo swimming is generally not necessarily always feeling good. Would be my answer.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Actually, it solves the other one as well with the splashing, because indirectly, and I'm getting to it because splashing, because I have this other video on my Facebook page where I was in the water, outside in the water, and that's actually going in line with you. And I was swimming in the lake, and it's like the water was very clear, and I have a really nice speed. And I'm just at this point, you know, the 110 spot, you know, you have this, and you just actually just there where if I would now need to go faster, then you actually get into that, or it gets uncomfortable. This speed pace there, I can go for hours. I mean, literally hours, but it's really like, yeah, that works. But I do splash. I do splashes because you go in, and then I always come with actio. You know, we have this in physics, like you have an action and you have a reaction to it. The action would be at the end to push, and then you have a swing to the front, and then you have the entry, and then usually you have the reaction of it. And that, if it splashes or not, that doesn't really matter. It does not matter, because then again, that is the comfortable thing for me. If I then like that would not, like, it doesn't matter in the end. This is comfortable for me and I can keep up pace. If I would now want to go faster, but there we don't really talk about how I enter the water, how I whatever. We don't talk about this because it doesn't really matter whether you splash or not. And then again, you really nicely summed it, put it together about if you want to then get faster or want to swim faster, it gets uncomfortable, and that's actually what he said. And I like that one. I like that point. So
you used to swim 400 freestyle also, right?
I did, yeah. I used to.
One of your main races.
So a 400 meter.
It was one of your best races, right?
Yeah, it was one of my best races.
How many times did you feel absolutely amazing at the 150? Oh, basically always, right? Everything was cool. You had a lot of pressure, and then all of a sudden the guy next to you picks it up just a little bit, and you have to go with him to stay in the race.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden nothing feels good anymore. It's just about survival. It's about staying with the guy and try to keep up, get somehow to the sprint and touch the ball first. But the feeling goes out of the comfort feeling, the nice feeling is gone within seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the reality of it. That's how it is.
Exactly. But that's also the thing which people people tend to forget also when racing, especially when racing. And we have our base or roots in pool swimming. We are not open water swimmers. Like we did open water swimming and we do open water swimming, but our roots are in the pool, and exactly there it is. And then there is more about to it. There is a strategy to it. Do I swim a negative split? Do I gonna like start slow, let everyone go, and then have the comfort that my second half of a 400-meter freestyle is catching all of them and actually be that guy who passes the other ones so they can't catch up anymore. So it's that one. But when we then make a transition to Ironman races or triathlon or long distance or open water, then obviously you have the same thing where it's more driven towards rhythm. But when then someone comes, it gets really uncomfortable. And there it is. I guess it's also you need to trust your feeling. Like you need to trust that you can do it or that you can sustain it. Because if you let yourself go with that person, as you said, you will destroy your own rhythm. You will destroy everything you built off or you were trained. You could have been able to swim a 110 for the whole, let's say, 4 kilometers in a long distance Ironman. A 410 or 420 or whatever is your aim. If you let yourself go in that moment, you won't catch up with it. But you had it in yourself, and I guess that's the difference between pool swimming, a 1500 meter or let's say 400 meter freestyle, where you then it's about racing, about that part. I don't know. I guess it's that one for me at least.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I think it's kind of a myth, but also it's reality. And as I said, with technique or with good technique, you can solve both of it. You can, if that is the aim, but I don't think it makes you faster whether you don't splash and don't have bubbles around it. I don't think that is necessarily it. I guess.
I guess in theory it would, but you know it is. It's tricky, and it's also so very hard to give people a one fit for all solution, because if you look at world swimming, the world championships, just before you press record, we were talking about that they're going on right now. All you have to do for the listeners is tune in next week when we watch the 1500 meter freestyle final, and you will see 3 or 4 completely different swimmers.
Yeah.
You will see Paltrinieri,
yeah,
amazing guy, very close to the world record, European record holder, Olympic champion, won everything that you can win. He will look wild next to Florian Wellbrock and Romanchuk.
True.
You will significant difference. I would say in a stroke rate, probably 15 strokes of a difference.
True.
Yet they're both extremely successful and almost the exact same time. So how can you say it's correct to swim with fewer strokes if both can be highly successful?
True.
That's always something I have a big problem with. You cannot just go and say these stupid things, that S-Wolf thing that sometimes you have on these old watches.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where it becomes the main goal of the game is to have as few strokes as possible in the fastest time. Whoever came up with that, I mean, I can see the point. We're working on distance per stroke and all that, and distance per stroke is always something that we should that we should try to improve. But I think it's a massive mistake to take somebody like Paltrinieri and say, hey, if you want to win anything at all in the sport, you have to swim like Wellbrock. It's not going to work.
He won't do it. He won't. Again, it's the sustainability, and then you have.
And he shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't. He should swim like that. It gives more color into it. Like he's that lively guy anyway, you know. And then you have another guy like Romanchuk, who is some between, like he's even a different technique to Wellbrock again. They might be similar when you look from out, but for us there is a huge difference. And then when you come to the distance per stroke, then you go to the women. And then you compare, what's her name? Kate Ledecky and Titmus, Ariana Titmus. Then you compare these two, and then one you see, she's just grinding. She just has a pace, an arm, like a stroke pace. You don't even need to start to count her strokes, Ledecky's strokes per 50 meter. She does that just like clockwork, like that. But she keeps that pace. She can't keep it like that. And there is a difference. You need to find the thing which works for you yourself, right? You need to find that. For me, If I want an excel from 110, as you said before, in a or 120 like I had now, where that was very comfortable in my Ironmans, where I go 15 minutes per 3.8k. That is a controlled catch-up swimming race, which I need my power anyway, or my energy anyway, for cycling and running afterwards. I mean, for me it's easy. But if I would want to swim 45 minutes or 40 minutes in the end for 3.8Ks, I would need to speed up, first of all, the pace, like the cadence, but also the stroke will get much slower, shorter. All of a sudden, I don't have 180 distance per stroke. I end up with 150 or less if I want to be faster. And that is usually the misconception of people, what they have. And they're, I don't know. It's a heck of
I think what I always find beautiful is that when you look at the best swimmers in the world, there are certain things that all of them are doing well. And that's, they always have a good body position. They generally all have a strong core. Very few people have bad head position. They usually align their spine, that they're like this.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just really becomes personal preference. Some people grow up and they are more of a turnover, like a paltrinieri, and that's totally fine. And then there are others who maybe have a little bit better kick and who like to glide a little bit more, and they do fewer strokes. But again, I think it's important to teach the people the basics, because I think when we tune into the World Championships, you can really see that the best swimmers of the world all do certain things really well. I mean, they all have a good body position. You're going to be very, very hard pressed to find somebody who's not riding really high in the water. They're all going to have a very strong core. And then high elbow catch, yes, a lot of them, but then very happy that 2 days ago, Leonie Beck won the 10K. I mean, obviously one of my favorite swimmers. She grew up in the same club team that I had my greatest success in Würzburg. And I mean, I couldn't be any more happy. If I would pick anyone to win, it would be her. But she's one, we talked about this before on Instagram, when you look, she does not swim a perfect high elbow catch.
True.
And she won that race pretty damn impressive, in an impressive fashion. Like, she really even broke away at the end. So by far the best swimmer in that event 2 days ago. But if you watch her head position is in line, her body position is in line, she rides really high, she's straight line, strong core, everything is there. And then what I was saying before I got cut off is that everything else is up to personal preference. And some people have a higher cadence and some people glide a little bit more. But then I was also saying, if you want to do anything in the pool, if you want to win anything, you absolutely also have to understand, you have to have good walls. I mean, that's one of the biggest takeaways that I got in the United States. They always talk about the law of inertia, which basically states, I mean, it means you talk about physics. It's if an object is in motion, it's very hard to slow it down. It's like a momentum kind of thing. And this concept is crucial around the walls. You have to understand that your push-off is setting up the entire next 50.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to start swimming at a higher pace than what you would be swimming without the push-off. So you're using that energy from the push-off and carry it into your swim. And if you don't understand this concept, I would argue that you're never going to win anything in the sport of swimming in the pool. Mm-hmm. Because you will get destroyed around the walls, like literally destroyed. And I had the pleasure to really swim with some of the greatest ever. I mean, I trained with Ryan Lochte for 5 years.
Yeah.
He would smoke me around the turns, like literally crush me.
True.
But I eventually became pretty good for a distance guy. That's why I was always pretty good in a 25-meter pool, because I understood how important it is and how to take the speed that I get from a push-off and use it in my first couple of strokes when I swim the next length.
Crazy,
and it's something I mean, when you cannot imagine how good people are around the walls. I cannot even imagine what it's like to do a flip turn next to Caleb Dressel. It would blow your mind how much you can lose in a push-off, in a butterfly section, and in a breakout before you take the first stroke in freestyle. You would be shocked.
Yeah. Well,
It's literally shot.
But that's also something there where you have again the splashing and the thing. You know, there was always a theory. That's another theory. We can also go tap into that. They said, yeah, you need to do that somersault and really hit that wall. And so, no, 1 second. It is turn fast, push off quick. Like it's you need to have, as you said, you need to have that speed, that momentum which you get from the turn into it. You need to use for like a feather to push off the wall and go out of it. And there again, whether it splashes or not, whether it turns where you can see the legs or not, that doesn't really matter. If you have that push off, the only thing which is a bit of a problem if you bend your knee too much, and if you're too close to the wall, too cramped, yeah, you will not get it out. And if you're too far stretched out, like if you do turn a bit too early, that is also, they will not end. You need to have the middle ground. But afterwards, like it's anyway, most of these guys, you don't hear the wall there. They just like go in and out. It's like a touch thing and go in and out. And again, that's a myth which sticks, like is around for a long time now, I guess. Yeah. And yeah, about the other thing with the high elbow catch, yes, I'm a very much a warrior of the high elbow catch because I have one. But on the other hand, yes, you're right. I mean, but also you need to also add, she's not a short person. Like she's a very, like she's a tall woman, and like she has a lot of physiology in herself, which gives her the chances of being very flat in the water. Guess like look at me, I'm 177, so I'm a very short person, so I need to do it differently. Like I need to, but again, then we have yeah, Greg Poltinier is also not a short guy. He's also what do you
190, 191, I think.
Yeah, so I'm of this like, so I need to have something which they don't have, so I can catch up in the end. So I need to have my thing, and for shorter people, you need to use these extra meat or centimeters which you have, otherwise you won't get. Oh no, Oli is not that tall. I think Oli is not that
Oli is
tall.
short.
He's not that tall. But again, he would also swim with his cadence. Like Haidt Ledecky is also not that tall. They have all their thing. But for Leonie Beck, I guess it's also that she's that tall, and the physiology lets her be that flat in the water, and that makes the difference. And I guess you said it right. And that would be another thing which I wanted to pick up, and just for the people who are listening. And you talked about the core, that core muscle and that core thing. A lot of people don't get it, don't get what it is, or we talk about it a lot. For
everything,
for you and me, it makes sense, but they don't. They think they can go to the gym and do push-ups, like literally do the push-ups. But core muscles, when you really want to feel it, there is one drill which I like where you feel it the best is, instead of taking a pull ball, you take a board, kickboard, and put it between your legs, and then do the arms, just the arms, just leave your legs behind. Then you will actually feel the core, and then do even turns with it. If you can keep the board, and if you can do whatever you want and swim with the board, this is the core muscles which keeps your leg up. That is my way of explaining to people what the core, that they can feel the core. I don't know, maybe you have another one, but that is because people always hear from us, use your core muscles. You need to be that you're flat in the water, because most of the people, if they don't have it, their legs will sink. It's not only the head. Yes, the head position is important, but guess what? We are looking to the front as well. But it is mainly the core. That is a very important thing, just to point that out, I think.
Yeah, I think the core is mainly very, very important to transmit power and energy. If you don't have a strong core, you're going to have a very hard time connecting your pull with your kick, or just getting the power that you generate from your pull into actual forward velocity. If you have a weak core, it's just not going to work. I always tell the people, it's like if you're on vacation and you're on an air mattress and you only blow it up halfway and you try to pedal fast on it, you're not going to go anywhere.
True.
If you blow it up all the way, it's going to be very easy to move forward with every stroke. And it's almost the same with the core. If you have a shit core, you can pull like a world champion and you're still only going to finish third at the state championships. Basically, it's not going to work.
True. But how do you get the core?
Well, I think for one, you have to engage it in swimming. It's certainly a feel thing, because it's not that easy. Because if it was easy, if it was just the core, you could take any gymnast in the pool and they should be amazing. But it's certainly a lot of work in your dryland sessions also. I remember at Florida we used to do a lot of core work. Very, very, very tough core work. may have been a little bit too much in my time. I mean, again, I don't want to question what these guys did. These are literally the best coaches in the world. But I think maybe we may have overshot a little bit 15 years ago. But I think especially now with the suits banned, you absolutely need a strong core.
But
if you don't have it,
that's why I want to go to another, and then we have also we can we can make a bridge to sprinting and swimming fast. That's why I like the approach of which is actually, just to put it out, someone who did it completely different to anyone else, of McAvoy. He took the approach that he wanted to. You can correct me if I'm wrong. This is what I read about it, and what I heard about it from people who know him. He took the stand that he says, yeah, no, swimming is one thing, and I need to train and, like we say, grind for us for the long distance and all that stuff. But let me do a lot of dry land, and especially what kind of dry land do I do? I do the dry land of the calisthenics. So he does a lot of that. And what is calisthenics? It goes into the core. Like, you cannot have good posture, you cannot do all these movements which you want with a bad core ultimately. And there you actually learn it. You know, when you hold yourself and then you flip your legs up and you're very stable and calm and quiet. And look at this. He's now year's best, 21:20 or something, like, if I'm not mistaken, 21:27 on a 50-meter freestyle in a long course pool. I mean, and he was away for about 5-6. No, what, he went 2016 was the last time he was there. 2016. That's 6 years, 6-7 years, something like that. So he was away from all of it. Like, he didn't make it to the World Championships. I think he made it to Australian Championships, but not far further. But he really took that approach. I think, just to what you said about the core.
Yeah.
I mean, also
I think it's very, very important to have that.
But actually, you do it also through a different sport. I mean, I think in what is it, judo, right? And
myself?
Yes, the core is there also.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, exactly. Yeah, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. There, it's also important, I guess. No, you need to have that your stand is there, or at least
everything. You just need to be very, very mobile, and I am not. I have a very old school pressure heavy style, but the young kids that are very good at it, they're almost like monkeys. Very fascinating to watch. But I like the style a lot. I guess mine is very traditional, very old school, a lot of pressure, not that much fast movement, but I mean, there are similarities between swimming and that. You have to pick a style that works for you. You know, I mean, obviously, if I watch jiu-jitsu on YouTube, I would love to move like these kids.
Yeah.
Nothing more. It's really cool to watch these guys, but I have to work with what I have.
True.
And it goes back to a person that is watching right now. If you have a high turnover and it's splashing when you enter the water, I think the worst thing that you can do is take everything you've worked for and what's working for you and start over and try to swim like Florian Wellbrock or Michael Romanchuk. I'm not saying that it's great what they do. Don't get me wrong. It's technically highly advanced and very, very good swimming, but you have to be able to do it. You know, if you're not a natural glider, if you have a shit kick, it's not going to work. Those are factors that you need to have in order to swim like that. If you don't have it, use what you have. Take a different approach, like a Paltrinieri, Ledecky. They're also world record Olympic champions, and it works just as well. We're not competing for a beauty contest here.
No, it is not. It's not. It literally is not. That is something we had it also in our call. One of the greatest swimmers of our time, Tom Dolan. He didn't have actually the nicest style ever, but he was crazy fast. What he was doing was he took the one thing he was best at, and it was grinding and working hard and having just more kilometers. Not the approach of Phelps, but the approach of himself to do as many Ks as fast, as long as I can. And this was this was his thing. And he took that out. If that is your goal, I mean, for a lot of triathletes, let also amateurs, but let's say triathletes, I believe they try to push themselves. Like in cycling, you can do that. I can see that self, because it's kind of, everyone is streamlined into one thing. You need to have your body position, and you need to have your fitting done with your bike. In running as well, it goes into certain physiology things, like in physics. But when it comes to swimming, water is not your friend. It's not gonna be your friend. You can swim with it, and there is a saying from Alexander Popov, where he says, if water is your friend, you need to move with it. Well, this coming from someone who was taught by Gennady Turetsky, who would always say, "We are not made for swimming. Fish are made for swimming, but you are not." When I talked to him the first time, he said, "You are not made for swimming," and I said, "Well, hey, I'm a swimmer." And they said, "No, we all are not made for swimming. Guess what? Otherwise, we would be swimming." But you need to try to use that for your advantage and make something out of it. And this is exactly what you said. You need to use what you can. As a high elbow catch, which I have, has a lot of also to do with being flexible in my shoulders, have good shoulder joints, which allow me to do that. If you don't have that, we can alternate. You have a spectrum which you need to use. And again, there are certain things which you need to have in order to do that, and there are certain things you need to train to get there. And that would be, for example, the core muscles. And the core muscles is not only in the front, it's also in the back. These kind of things. Or if you want to be good at your stroke, take a rubber band, lay on a bench, and start to do these movements. That is, you can also do it with a straight arm. Then you see what works for you. What is easier or what is better, some sort of that you train. But you need to do it. Otherwise, I can't help you. And you need to do it consistent.
I agree. Consistency is very important. But I mean, one thing maybe to wrap this up is just stay in your own lane, so to say. Coaches say that sometimes, and I made this mistake so much. And looking back, if I could do something different, I would stop worrying so much about what the others are doing. I would just worry about myself. What's the point of looking at Michael Phelps and think, oh, maybe this guy has a longer torso and he's doing this in his butterfly. I mean, my body's not going to change. I have what I have. Let's work with that. Improve yourself. And eventually you're going to find out you actually have probably a lot of what it takes to be really, really good. If you just stay by yourself, if you stop worrying about the others all the time and just focus on yourself completely, videotape yourself. What can I do better within my technique? Don't just start to swim like Florian Wellbrock just because he won the World Championships yesterday.
True.
Which again, massive fan, amazing performance. There's not enough cool things that I can say about this performance yesterday. I mean, who does that? Who swims the World Championships and wins with 18 seconds in a fashion like this? It's absolutely terrific. But that does not mean that every kid that's watching this should start over with swimming and just try to copy that kid, that Florian Wellbrock exactly. I mean, you can try to implement some things, but I would really, if there's one message from myself, I mean, it's been a while since I was a swimmer, but stay in your own lane and try to improve and work with what you have. It's going to lead to more results than trying to copy other people. And like you said, trust yourself, trust what you have, and work with that, and it's going to lead to faster and better results than anything else.
I like that. Let's finish that with that's what you just said, and I think I couldn't say much better. I would just drag it out. So thanks very much for the call, and let's see that we do another one soon.